Performing the sit and reach test using the sit and reach box. Before you begin the test, you want to make sure that you have your client remove their shoes and perform a warm-up of moderate aerobic activity for 5 minutes, then a few flexibility exercises. Make sure that your client is not doing any fast or jerky movements. The client is then going to be asked to go ahead and sit on the floor in front of the box without their shoes and to place the soles of their feet flat against the flexometer at the 26 centimeter mark. To begin the test, have your client's arms extended out in front of them with their hands parallel, or fingertips can be overlapping just as long as one hand is not out in front of the other one. Then the next thing is you're going to instruct your client to go ahead and slowly reach forward with both their hands as far as they can and to hold that position for about 2 seconds. A good thing to let your client know is to make sure that they exhale and drop their head between their arms when reaching forward, and to breathe normally and do not hold their breath. Make sure that their knees are fully extended, but they are not pressed down against the floor. In order to score this, you want to take the most distal point in either centimeters or inches that they reached with their fingertips. You're going to perform this in 2 trials. A sit and reach box 0 point is set at 26 centimeters. If you happen to be using a box where their 0 point is set at 23 centimeters, subtract the 3 centimeters when you look at the values on the table. Today I'm going to talk to you about one of the flexibility tests, and that's your straight leg rise test. This test is going to assess flexibility of the hip flexors. If the muscles in the hip flexors are out of balance, it can cause poor movement and function of your lower back. You're going to go ahead and have the client lie flat on the floor with their lower back against the floor. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your client's legs and you're going to rise it. And as you're doing that, you need to make sure that their other leg is staying flat on the floor and fully extended as they are now. So I'm going to go ahead and take her leg, rising it, while this other one, you make sure stays flat. Once your client gets to the point where they no longer can extend their leg up on their hip flexors, this is where you're going to go ahead and measure. There are 2 instruments that you can use to go ahead and measure the angle of the hip flexor. One of them is the goniometer. You're going to place this on the axis of the greater trochanter, or you can use the inclinometer. And you're going to go ahead and place this right below the tibial tubercle. A 90-degree angle is the preferable angle that you're looking for, but a minimum of 80-degree angle is satisfactory for the test. You're going to go ahead and record the angle that you do get for the range of motion, and you're going to mark if that is acceptable or unacceptable. The next flexibility test I'm going to be showing you is the YMCA sit and reach test. Before you begin this test, you're going to have the subject remove their shoes, and then you want them to perform about 5 minutes of moderate aerobic activity. Then you want them to do a few flexibility exercises. You don't want them to do it fast or any jerky movements. Now we're going to go ahead and demonstrate how to go ahead and perform this test. You're going to be using a yardstick, and then you're going to be marking the yardstick at like a right angle at the 15-inch mark. Now you're going to have your client go ahead and sit on the floor with the stick between their legs and their heels at the edge of the tape. You want to make sure that their legs are flat on the ground. You're going to have your client go ahead and reach as far as they can outward in front of them. They can either place their hands next to each other or they can overlap their hands, but their hands need to be adjacent to each other. One hand cannot be out from the other. So they're going to have their hands over each other. Now they're going to go ahead and slowly reach forward, holding this for at least 2 seconds while you go ahead and mark how far that they reached. To better help your subject, you're going to go ahead and have them exhale as they are bending forward, and they're going to put their head in between their arms. This is going to help them get a better reach. You also want to make sure that their knees are fully extended, but they're not pushed down against the floor. Now you're going to go ahead and score by the furthest point that the fingertips reached. You're going to go ahead and do 2 trials of this test, and you're going to go ahead and record the one that is the best one. Another flexibility test that can be performed is a chair sit and reach test. Equipment needed is a chair with a seat height of at least 27 inches and a yardstick, or you can also use a ruler of 18 inches at least. To begin the test, you need to make sure that your chair is up against the wall, and then you're going to ask your client to sit on the edge of the chair. They're going to take one of their legs and they're going to extend it out in front of them with their heel touching the floor, and they're going to have their ankle dorsal flex at least 90 degrees. The untested leg is going to be at least 6 to 12 inches on their side with their flat foot on the floor. The extended leg, while it is straight, you're going to ask the client to go ahead and put their arms with palms down with their hands overlapping each other. As they bend forward, they need to make sure that their back stays straight, their head is in line with their back, and they do not tuck their head down. They reach down their extended leg, trying to touch their toes, holding for at least 2 seconds. You're going to do 2 practice runs and then 2 test trials. When you perform these to score the test, what you're going to do is that you're going to go ahead and have the ruler parallel to where they are, and you're going to measure. To score your test, the middle of the big toe to the end of the shoe is a score of 0. Reaches that are short of the toe are minus scores, and reaches beyond the toes are positive scores. You're going to go ahead and record the best of the 2 scores, having it as the closest ½ inch, and then you're going to refer to the table.